That's the way to start a ride on a positive note anyway. Gas station was out of regular fuel, so they're selling Supreme at regular prices. That price is still absolute robbery, but hey. You gotta take those wins where you can get them, I guess. It's nice to have a positive once in a while after last night's ride where there weren't too many positives. Last night what started out as a pretty leisurely little ride with my buddy kind of went sideways real quick. So that's a lane now, is it? So yeah, a coworker of mine has had a bike for years and years, but I could probably count on my fingers how many times he's actually got out and rode with it. Yesterday after work he actually wanted to get out with it. He asked me if I wanted to take a ride out to a former co-worker of ours, out to his place, visit him. So, you know, I was so stunned that he actually wanted to get out. I was like, okay, yeah, we're going. Never looked at the weather or anything. That was a mistake. Well, I say it was a mistake, but you know what? I probably would have went anyway, knowing what I know now. I probably just would have chosen a different bike to do it. He's riding an XR650, so I figured just about anything besides the ZX-10 would have been a fine choice. The Nighthawk hadn't seen daylight for a while, so I decided to go with that. So we take off out towards this guy's house, and it's a great ride there. It's nice out. We hang out in the garage there for a while. He's actually getting this little moped running, so we swing the garage door open and he fires it up, and while he's running it I can hear this other rumbling outside. I'm like, what the heck is that? So I walk outside and I look, and the sky is just black. Like there is a major storm coming through. So we just started laughing like, oh man, we are so screwed. I looked at the radar and it was heading right for us. No way to avoid it. So we jump on, we start heading for home, and we don't make it very far and we're right on the doorstep of this thing. Like there's a couple of raindrops starting, and the sky, like I'm not even exaggerating, it went from the sun, you know, beginning to go down to full-blown darkness outside in a matter of about a minute or two. So we're stopped at a light and I ask him, like, which way do you want to go? How do you want to do this? I mean, we're going to be screwed either way, but I start pointing out directions where we can hide under overpasses or things like that if it gets too crazy. I'm starting to get the impression by this point that he's pretty nervous. He doesn't ride too much, and he's not crazy about lightning. So this is like a horrible situation for him. So he's determined to hit the highway and just run for home, but there's no way he will ever make it. He's going to get hit by this thing. So the last second before the highway, I pull over to ask him, like, you know, do you want to head up towards the highway and maybe we'll just hang out at the gas station. We'll hide under the canopy till the worst of it passes. It should only be, you know, 20 minutes. But he doesn't see me. He's in such a rush to just get the heck out of there. He doesn't even see me pull over. He just keeps going. He goes right around me, and his pace like triples. He heads for the highway as fast as he can, because I think at this point he's also thinking that I'm still ahead of him and he's lost me. He's fallen behind, so now he's just running. So I'm like, man, what the heck am I going to do? I'm still questioning how the bike is going to handle this kind of rain, because at this point it's starting to rain, and I mean it's raining. It's not the hardest rain I've ever driven through, because that record still belongs to the KLX last year. But, you know, it's up there. It is raining, and then the wind is picking up. There's lightning everywhere. The thunder's just booming. So just when I get to the on-ramp and I can see him disappearing down the on-ramp, I kind of give the bike a little test where I you know, cranked on the throttle a little bit, and the bike did not respond well at all. Like, it started misfiring and stuttering, and I was like, oh my god, it doesn't like this water at all. So yeah, at this point I know that the highway is out of the question, and if I even want a shot at making it home, I'm gonna have to find a place with a roof over my head. So just beyond the highway entrance there's a couple of gas stations there with canopies, so I bolt in there. I just make it in the yard in time. I mean, I just roll underneath the canopy and the bike basically stalls. Because, you know, just for reference, The Nighthawk's ignition system is pretty basic. It's a couple of coils up underneath the tank. It's a waste park setup. Then you just got basic plug wires going to crappy old plug boots sitting right up on top of spark plugs that are pretty exposed, really. It doesn't take much wind and rain to get right at them. I mean, I put some dielectric grease and stuff like that in them when I put it together. It can handle normal rain. It can survive it, but not what was happening last night. I mean, those plug wires and boots and everything, you gotta remember, are also like 40 years old, because I'm almost positive they're original. After last night though, I'm thinking that it's time to upgrade them. I think I'm gonna start looking for some new wires and do something a little bit better. They literally just sit on top of the plugs and they dance around. Like, you can wobble and shake them, and there is not much sealing happening. So even if you don't get direct spray of water onto them, the engine is hot, and anytime water hits it, steam rises up. So the steam will even get in there, and all of a sudden that spark is not happening inside the engine anymore. So anyway, I hang out there for probably 20 minutes just watching this crazy show around me. I mean, there's huge lightning, huge thunder. The rain is, you know, really coming down. All the while I'm wondering how Mike's making out on the highway, since he's just decided to run right through it. After a while, I get a message from another co-worker working the night shift. He's like, Mike just showed up. He's like drowned. He's wondering where you are. So I message him back and tell him what's up. At this point, I was kind of wishing I'd have taken any other bike, because every other bike I have would have handled the water. But it still made for an interesting adventure. I sat there for a while and I watched the show, let the bike dry out. Oh, look at that. A robot takes another job. So yeah, I hang out there for a while and watch the show. And all of a sudden I look to my left and I realize the clouds are breaking up, but not only are they breaking up, but the light is coming through again, and I realize it's not actually late enough to be pitch dark out like it is. Like, the sun is kind of going down, but there would still be daylight out, but there was none. But the clouds were so damn thick, it just turned to night. But now you can see these cracks in the clouds and the light's starting to come through again. It was really strange. But I guess that was my sign to give it another shot and try and make it home. So I fired the bike up. It ran like absolute crap. I had to basically limp it up down the road. It was still raining a bit, so I figured getting some wind in there with the heat of the engine might help dry things out a little bit. But for the first few miles, it was like no more than about a quarter throttle, and anytime a car would pass and the spray would come off of them, the bike would just misfire and stutter and hesitate. Eventually it gradually got better though. But all along that old highway that I was taking to get back into town, there was just traffic pulled over everywhere, because it's a really elevated highway and you can really get a good look over the horizon. And that was right in the direction that the lightning was heading after it passed over us. And man, what a show. It's like lightning out of a movie. You'd swear it was like CGI or something. And of course, I'm like, oh, this was just a nice little leisurely drive. I didn't need to take my GoPro, but man, it would have been nice to have right then. So yeah, some plug wires and boots and all that are on my mind now. That could be another investment for the Nighthawk soon. I always just brush stuff like that off, because I figured, you know, I'll never be riding this thing in the rain. At least not any meaningful rain. But then, you know, here we are, one mistake of not checking the weather, and so yeah, I managed to make it back to work where my buddy was waiting, trying to dry out a little bit. All hung out there for a little bit and then headed for home a little later than we planned. Like I said, makes for a fun little adventure. I think the road condition goes way down at this point. Well, better than I thought. Yeah, it's just chip seal and there's major holes in it everywhere, but it's like tenfold better than it used to be. If it was all in this condition, it wouldn't be so bad, but then you never know when one of these craters are going to appear. I mean, these chip seal roads are basically the equivalent of a fancy dirt road. So you think they could come and throw a few shovels of, you know, patch or fill into these holes? Nah, can't be bothered with that. If you're passing through here, especially at night, with even a car, you're like risking damage to your car. If you're passing through here at any time with a motorcycle, you're basically risking your life. One thing I have to remember is that these torrential rains happened less than 24 hours ago, so there's a lot of places along these roads where big piles of dirt got washed out onto the road. Can't even remember what the date is either. I think it's, you know, last Saturday in July or something like that, but still have not changed those tires on this thing. Just gonna squeeze every mile we can out of them. A few rides back, my buddy with the H2SX, his tires were basically in the same shape as mine, and he was done with them. They were getting swapped out. I think I've gone on to put like 400 or 500 kilometers on this since then, which doesn't sound like much, but it's damn near 10% of the tire's total lifespan, at least the rear anyway. So if you can squeeze another 500 kilometers out of them, that's a lot. And now I purchased a set of Pirelli tires. I don't usually shop for Pirelli tires, but you know, realistically I don't have anything against them, so I did. Mostly because there was a $100 rebate available on them. So I purchased them and I applied for that rebate, and within a couple weeks I got an email back saying, yep, you're approved. And in that email it said you're going to be contacted again by email in the next 2 days or so with the instructions on how to redeem with like an e-gift card. So 2 days go by, 4 days go by. On the 5th day I emailed them again, say, hey, what's up? Is this normal? Now that was 2 or 3 days ago. Haven't had a response to that email either. So I can just imagine what kind of nightmare it's going to be to get that sorted out. Just one more reason to always say, damn you Pirelli. Just stop for a break back there. It's like a little miniature Albert County history display. I think it's just set up on someone's private property. Maybe I'll put up a couple of pictures of it here. There'll probably end up being a picture of it on the thumbnail as well. But then again, I only took like one picture of it, so there's a lot of stuff there though. It's kind of cool. Real old equipment. There's a bit of history of drilling for oil around here, farming, forestry, railroad is huge, all kinds of neat stuff. It's nice to see that some of these back roads are not in absolute horrible shape right now. It's nice to be able to get out for a ride and use them instead of main roads that are in somewhat better shape but are just polluted with traffic. Do a little backtracking here. This is one of the side roads that actually has some decent pavement on it, so power was out at our place earlier today too. Looks like these people may have had a similar situation, but that kind of looks like a new pole, and it's right at the beginning of a turn, so I wonder if someone had a really bad day today. Yeah, that really looks like a new pole. There's a local linesman that has a YouTube channel. Wonder if he's on the site there. Just decided to do a front tire wobble check. I used to praise Michelin tires, but they're still the only single tire I've ever had that gave me a front tire shake as the tire got wore down. Well, I don't even think I'm going to hit 100 kilometers on this ride tonight. Just seen a little window of opportunity to get out and jumped at it. I think that's what I need to go back to though. When I first started riding around here, I didn't really know a lot of roads, didn't know a lot of people. I'd just hop on the bike in the evening and take off for maybe 100 kilometers, just go explore and run some roads that I already knew. And things are a lot different now, but it's kind of come full circle where I don't always have all the time in the world to go ride anymore, so if I do want to get out, I might have to start making some of these short little loops again. Anyway, we're approaching the point where all that's left to do is the slow creep through town to get home again, so we'll just call this the end. So if you're still watching, go click some buttons and type some gibberish in the comment section. Maybe even click on an Amazon affiliate link while you're there. Maybe you can help me buy some plugs and wires for the Nighthawk. Whoa, that sucked. Just about to pull it up and I hit a bird. It didn't really hurt my arm, so hopefully he's alright. Maybe he just grazed me. Well, we began the ride on a high note. Hopefully didn't end it on a low note by murdering a bird. Alright, until next time.